welcome to all of you who decided to come out tonight. I am excited to provide these updates to you so you can all see where we are as a school district, where we are heading, and then we want to give you all an opportunity to engage with any of our cabinet members as it pertains to any issues or any observations or any suggestions that you all may have in helping us to move this school district forward. So generally what we do every single week since I started 2 years ago, we wanted to provide an update, because when I started in this school district in July, or really I came August 8th of 2022, we had walked into everybody recovering from COVID. And part of that recovering from COVID meant that we were having major staffing issues. And so I told the school board that my goal was to be as transparent with our community about where we are from a staffing standpoint. We've continued this pretty much ever since. And so we have 62 teacher vacancies. We anticipate that when the new update comes out, we think that number will go down a little bit more. But we're talking about 5,800 teachers in this school district. So we are nearly fully staffed in this school district. And it was something that we talked to our building principals about today in our principals meeting, just our excitement around what work is being done to retain, but the work that's also being done to recruit people to want to come to Anne Arundel County and become employees. We also know that we struggled with school bus drivers. You all know we were all over Fox News, the Capitol, the Banner. We were over everything when I first got here because we were not able to transport students to schools. I think our first year we had around 72 bus driver vacancies, and I remember telling the community that we're going to have to interrupt transportation at the start of the second semester for kids who did not receive transportation the first half of the year. We were able to innovate. Our transportation department came up with some ideas around taking advantage of a law, and we created this alternative vehicle drivers that we have now. And listen, I was just driving, taking the back roads to get here because 97 was bad, and I saw one of our vehicles, and I think they thought I was probably stalking them, because I actually took pictures, because I had I know it's crazy, but I had an educator reach out to me in Nashville saying, hey, what are you guys doing around alternative vehicles? And I took a picture, and literally at the stop sign, it was right behind the truck, let them know it's the superintendent. Nobody was trying to get them in trouble. But I sent that picture to an educator to say, this is what it looks like. We have these yellow stickers that says school students on the bus. We have about 50 of those running around. It was a game changer for us. We did not have to interrupt transportation, and this year we've been in a good position with transportation, although we're starting to experience some growth issues, and I'll talk to you all about that in a little bit. But you can see the numbers, and then food service workers, we have to do better. They generally only work 3.5 hours. Most of them don't make even close to $20 an hour. And so we are working and negotiating right now to try to figure out some ways that we can show better appreciation so we can get these positions filled. Then as we move out with this new budgeting season, we have to talk about making sure that our low-end wage earners get taken care of in this county. So that's kind of where we are with staffing. Let me give you a couple of updates from a data standpoint. One of the things I'm most proud of is what we're doing around advanced placement. Over the last 3 years, we've increased the average score of students taking AP exams, the number of students taking these exams, and the percentage of students scoring a 3 or higher. With the addition of this school, we're kind of anticipating that we should continue to see increases, but it's all about access for me. And so when you look at these numbers here, you can see in 2021, we had about 582 students. Look at where we are now. We're up to 1,233 students. That number is growing, but look at the big jump from last year to this year. What's important is when you have this increase, generally this goes down. That's not what's happening in Anne Arundel County. The numbers are going up. And what's important for me to mention is around this gatekeeper model that we've always had in place in schools. You only get invited to take AP classes if a teacher believes that you can handle the rigor. So what that means is that you have a whole bunch of kids who never have been given access. And we got rid of that. And the increases are mostly African American, multiracial, and Hispanic kids who weren't being given the opportunity. This data tells us that not only can they get in and handle the rigor in the classroom, but those kids are also holding their own, scoring a 3 or better. Look at this. You need a 3 to earn a qualifying score for students to be eligible to get those credits accepted in college. Our school district averages a 3.03. That is something to be proud of. Our teachers are doing a wonderful job, and it is a focus in our school district. MCAP is another story because this is our state assessment. And while the state data does not look good, it doesn't tell us the full picture of where our kids are. I would argue and say that there's a lot left to be desired on our state assessments here, just as it was when I was in Missouri. I think there's not a lot of skin in the game for our students, especially at the high school level. They will tell you that I would rather just bubble in and focus on SAT and AP, and our scores are very competitive in those areas compared to schools across the country. And so, but this is the data. We're measured against all 24 school districts. So anytime I have an opportunity to talk about the progress we're making, I don't care if it's 0.1% of growth, we're going to tout that. Because we get beat up anytime negative data comes in, and so I want to make sure that we are inundating our social media with positive stuff that's happening in the district. We've had increases in the ELA and math. We've narrowed the gaps between African American students and white students because those were the largest gaps. But in science, we decreased, and we decreased across the whole state, double digits. I'm waiting to hear back from the state on why that is the case. I know when we had drops like that in Missouri, it ended up being a form error, and it got thrown out by the state. We haven't heard nothing from the state, and superintendents are left to defend ourselves with people who will weaponize this against us. I've never had double-digit drops in science. I've not had double-digit drops in anything in my 9 years of being a superintendent. And so for the state to have all of the districts have a double-digit drop in 5th grade science, there's something wrong there. But we have to put the data out because I don't want to hide anything from you all. So how do we stack up against other school districts? So you can see right here, we had the highest increases in the Baltimore area. We are number 3 in the state in our progress from last year compared to this year in language arts. We're number 4 in math. So a lot of things to be proud about, even with all of the distractors that we will talk about in a few minutes. But then what people will tend to say is, well, you know, you're lowering the performance at the top in order to close gaps. No, I came here and said we should have value-added learning for everybody. But we also know that we have kids who have significant gaps and they are behind. And if we're putting all of these inordinate amount of resources into these schools, we better see a lap and a half. Not just a lap, I want a lap and a half. Because those resources are by design going to help us close gaps. And so look at the data. We've gone up, the blue is all students, elementary, middle, high. We've gone up in English language arts, math, we've gone up, and then you can see the gap closure, and the gap is still wide, everybody. This is a wide gap. We'll do a deep data dive with the school board and the community, so you'll be able to see truly how wide that gap is. But ultimately, we are under an MOU with the NAACP that we have to do a better job of educating children of color in this school district. This is showing that our educators are getting it done, even though we still have a ways to go. So something to be proud of. Let's talk about the strategic plan. Many of you were handed a copy of that. You have an opportunity to talk to people about that outside. But our strategic plan is simple. It's 14 pages, easy to follow. When I went into Kansas City, 301-page strategic plan. You can't get nothing done. When I got here, we had a strategic plan, but we kind of abandoned it when COVID hit. And I think everybody kind of went into triage just trying to figure out how we're going to survive COVID. We have a simple strategic plan that is superintendent proof. So if I'm not here, this is an easy plan to continue to follow because it was built by the community for this community. Dr. Bedell had very little influence on it. Generally, what will happen is we would meet like this and folks would work in their groups and I would leave. I would just do the welcome, and then I was going out to watch kids play sports in the schools, especially at the high schools. So I had little influence because I didn't want this to be about a superintendent independent on a superintendent. And I'm proud of what we've come up with. A 16-word vision. It's simple. It's simple. We are a school community where everyone can belong, grow, and succeed. We got that from the first 100 days of me being here, where people said we have to create a sense of belonging because not everybody feels like they belong in this school district. So we're going to have that focus. We said that in order for our students to grow, we got to develop them socially, emotionally, and academically. And then we said, if we do those things well, they will be able to succeed in a globally competitive world. This 14-page document allows for us to get there. And at the end of the first semester, we'll be launching a scorecard. We'll have a data dashboard. So we will then populate and have accountability to the different goals that are in here so that everybody knows, are we doing what we said we would do within our strategic plan? Here's the priorities. Achieving academic excellence. I've already talked about that. Growth for everybody. I want 100% for everybody. So that means we got to grow everybody. And nobody should be stifled in the process of trying to move every single one of our students. Future readiness and transitional preparedness. How does it look when you leave elementary and go to middle? And then from middle to high? And then from high school into your post-secondary choice of whatever you want to do? Have we done a good job of helping our kids transition so it can be as seamless as possible? Investing in our staff. I showed you the numbers. Our retention rates are 26% up over the last 2 years. I think I quoted that accurately. We're keeping people. And then it gives me an opportunity to fight. How do we compensate people better? How do we reduce workload so people can just focus on teaching and learning and us not over-assessing? So there's going to be a memo coming out about some changes that we shared with principals today. Too much assessing. And I got barraged last night at Broadneck over some of these formative assessments. Too many. So we will put a memo out because I need people to focus on teaching and learning. And then when we do assess, we want to do it where we can respond to the data. We can come back and tell the kids, here's how we're going to help you. But if all you do is just assess for the sake of assessing, you're not going to get anything done. And you're going to have frustrated students, frustrated educators, and then the parents are going to let you hear it. And I don't want to hear it. So ultimately, that's our goal. Take care of our people, supporting the whole child. That's why we're bringing middle school sports back. That's why we're going to have a focus on extracurriculars like robotics and theater and the fine arts. So we want to develop our kids socially and emotionally. We want to make sure that they are mentally capable of handling the rigors of the world. And if we do those things, then those things that we don't, because when you ignore those things, they become impediments to kids achieving their full academic potential. So we want to make sure that we're able to control for those things and provide the support. And then this part here, building and sustaining our future. I said this after being in this district for 2 weeks. I called one of my superintendent friends. He was in Lawrence, Kansas. I said, Dr. Lewis, I feel guilty some days being superintendent in this district after 2 weeks. After I get to go and look at the kind of facilities that our kids are learning in. Some people will complain that a 30-year building is too old, a 30-year-old building is too old. I tell you right now, give me that 30-year-old building, those kids in Kansas City would love it because they can't even play basketball in their own high schools in Kansas City because the gyms are not regulation. And sometimes we take for granted all that we have. Look at what we're in right now. We take for granted because this is all many of us know in Anne Arundel County. But it's a world out there where kids don't have access to these types of amenities. So I want to congratulate all of us in this room because our taxes, we're taking care of these facilities, and it is a wonderful experience for me to have as a superintendent, just considering where I came from. And I want what these kids have here is what I would want for kids to have all around this country. And we take care of our facilities. Graduate of a portrait, that is in the strategic plan. Our students told us that this is what they want. They said to us, the portrait of a graduate was an area of focus for us but our kids said that they want to make sure that they are future ready, that they are effective collaborators, that they are critical thinkers, that they are curious learners, and that they are empathetic community members. They said that. We made sure that we put that in the plan. And so the ultimate goal is to make sure that everything that we do hits those particular items as we build out our strategic plan and we think about the experiences that we want our students to have. Threats to schools. You've seen a video. If you haven't, I did a video last week just talking about threats to our schools. Schools around the country have been barraged with threats. And we want you all to know that we take all of those threats seriously. We've been working with the police department. In fact, Ms. Jackson and I met with the police department yesterday to talk about making sure that communication and everything is aligned. And so we're working closely with them. But it also, you know, I don't want our attendance rates to take a hit because of all of these threats that are taking place. I just had a meeting with our student board member today, and we were talking about safety and security and wanting to figure out how can we make sure that our kids are going to be able to feel that they can come into an environment and focus on learning and growth rather than focusing on being in fear. And these are things that we are committed to doing, so I wanted to make sure that you all are fully aware of that. Additionally, we talk about the new cell phone guidelines. We have to tighten up on that because ultimately those are major distractors. I showed you the data earlier. Think about the progress that we've been able to make with the distractions. I've been getting emails from parents, teachers, thanking us for taking the position we've taken, and our students are stepping up. So we didn't want to go to a total ban, and as a result, I think our kids understand that we only have them for 19% of the week, 19.3% to be exact. We need that 19.3% of that time to be focused on us educating our students. So I want you all to know that it is going well so far. I have not been backed into a corner where I need to come back and have conversations with the board and the community about a total ban, and I don't think I will have to go there. So I'm looking forward to that. New cell phone guidelines. We made it very clear at the high school level, before, during lunch, and after school. Simple. I've gone to a number of secondary schools, and students have made sure that they expressed their concern with why did we take this away from them. And I just had to tell them 19.3% of the week, that's all I have you. You have 81%. Give me this 19.3, that's all. And guess what? It's working. They're backing off of me. So I really appreciate that, and I appreciate all of your supports on helping us with that. And then lastly, just talking about grading regulations, we've talked a lot about what we're going to be doing. A minimum at the middle school level of 9 recorded grades, exclusive of quarterly assessments, but also the grading scale will be a 50 to 59 defined as an E, because it also gives our kids opportunities to recover. You cannot recover from a 0. And I've been in this business since 1999. I've not worked in a district where they've had a 0 model. Not in the 4 districts that I've worked in, I've not seen it. And so we want to make sure that our kids have a fighting chance when they do struggle to be able to recover and to not be in a situation where you get 2 zeros and you're not going to pass. That's just the way that works statistically. In high school, the goal is to eliminate some of our redos. And we have to be consistent around the county. Consistent from school to school, consistent from class to class. And that's something that I will work on us with our building administrators. Redos will move from 3 to 2, and it's only on assessments. That's what the regs say. Late work will be accepted with a penalty structure. You turn in your work late, it's a 10% deduction each day you turn it in late. Late assessments are not eligible for redo. AP and IB students may opt out of that marking period for quarterlies because they don't need to take it if they are doing very well in their classes. But if they need to take the quarterly, they can still take it to raise their grades. Students are very happy about that. Chronically absent students may have credits withheld. So we're not just granting you credits, Just because if you miss 20 days and you still pass the class, it's just not going to work. And so finally, again, the grading scale defines an E as a 50 to 59%. And so right now, we've received a lot of positive feedback from our educators on tightening up on those regulations. We gave students some support because of COVID. So then the reason why we needed to make this change, one, when I go and do unannounced visits and I ask people, what is it that you need me to do? The number 2 things that came up last year, we need help with the cell phones and we need help with grading regs. Then when I go and we're touring, Mr. Dickerson and I did a full tour at Live because he's talking about how can we partner with them for them to hire folks. And he said, some of the practices you have in place right now, they're transferring into the workforce. And our kids think that they don't have to get things done in a timely manner, and we have deadlines. And I said, okay, yes, sir, don't worry, we will look at making those changes. So it has been received with a lot of positivity, and I'm appreciative of that. So that actually concludes my updates to you all. At this juncture, we will all go out into the hallway and have some opportunity to have some dialogue for the last 35 minutes, and we will be done at 7 o'clock. So thank you, everybody.